Umsamo Foundation. So today we're going to be carrying on from lesson 2, and we're going to be focusing on how do we correct the mistakes or even identify them if they occurred within our grandparents or our great-grandparents' generation. So this is part 2, which we'll be focusing on scenario 3 as well as scenario 4. So scenario C and D, which is great-grandparents and grandparents. So obviously, as usual, I've prepared a presentation. Those of you that are joining us today for the first time, you really need to go back and go watch the very first one when I spoke about the mistakes that ourselves, young people, make, as well as those made by our parents, and how do we identify them, how do I correct them, and how do we move forward from there. So not a bad idea to go on and look at those. Also, welcome to those on Twitter. So we are simulcasting this across Facebook and Twitter. Next week, we're going to extend it and simulcast across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube as well. So welcome to the Twitter people for the first time. Welcome. Okay, let's tuck into the presentation. So today is a little bit shorter, but it is more intricate and a lot deeper in that because we're going so far back, it is going to be a little bit more intricate, and I'm going to have to do a bit more drawing than the diagrams than I typically had because it was harder to describe. So we're just going to give a bit of a lecture recap of what we did in lesson 2, and then we're going to tuck into the different scenarios that we usually do it. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, you'll see that how I do it is I have the grandparents and I look at the different scenarios. Is it perfect wedlock? Was there perfect wedlock, divorce and remarriage? Was there perfect wedlock but infidelity was involved? Was there partial wedlock? And I just answer and I look at each generation, but using these various scenarios. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at our grandparents and our great-grandparents' generation to see what they may or may have not done, so we know what kind of questions to ask them. All right. So just a quick recap about rules and regulations when it comes to Siyabonga. As usual, perfect wedlock has 3 steps. Lobolo, ibizo, umtato. Now, depending on what culture you're from, what ethnic group you fall into, obviously the execution will vary, but at the end of the day, some sort of exchange needs to happen in terms of ilobolo. Ibizo, they vary. Some cultures do it. Some cultures do it with umtato, the wedding, and some cultures do it separate. But the most important thing is umtato, blood in, blood out. So they need to slaughter an animal to release the woman from the one's family, and then slaughter an animal to release the woman from the other. Slaughter an animal to bring the woman into the new family. That is what a perfect wedding is. Everything else around it, whether you use a sheep instead of a cow or a pig instead of a goat, those are all ways of executing. But what's most important is uchitheki gazi, right? Emagcekeni, nomakoti agide emagcekeni of her new home. Okay? Ilobola has no set amount. Ilobola needs to have the right family members involved. Now, this is where it's important because you can't have Ilobola doesn't count if the incorrect family members were involved. If the wrong family took Ilobola, right? And I'm gonna show that I'm gonna demonstrate that to you. The incorrect family can take ilobola, and that is a big mistake that people do, in that they have the incorrect family take ilobola, right? I'm gonna explain that to you later on. Okay. Inhlawulo has no set amounts as well. Inhlawulo is compulsory, but ilobola is optional. That's in the event that mother and father don't get married. In other words, inhlawulo must be paid for a child if it's conceived out of wedlock, but the family of the woman does not necessarily have to take ilobolo for umntwana. They don't have to accept amalobolo for umntwana and release her into the husband's family, the male's family. They don't have to do that. They're under no obligation to do that. Surname change is optional and not compulsory, and I want to say that surname change does also not determine your level of success in life unless uyabangwa. Let me explain. In other words, if you have your mother's surname and ubabwako didn't pay inhlawulo, didn't pay ilobola, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be successful and you can't be great and have a beautiful, flourishing life with full spiritual expression, right? My own father, Siyabonga Mkhize, my father has my grandmother's surname, There's nothing wrong with that. I'm speaking to the men now. You don't force your father to do Infidelity so you can take his surname, right? And then surname changes requires intlawulo, ilobolo, sacrifice on exit, sacrifice on entry, and full name change on all legal documentation. So you can't be Mkhize ngokwephepha but Umsamo uNdlovu. All right. It's all or nothing. So if I'm going to Mkhize or Umsamo, nowetongo, I need to be Mkhize nasepasini lami on my passport and everything else. Okay. So like I said, so last week we looked here, we looked down here. I'm going to be drawing as I go along, right? So last week we've done this, and we've also done this, right? Those who weren't here, please go check out our YouTube channel and Instagram TV. That's where we post the video. But today we are focusing here on this one here, on the fourth and the third generation, really looking at the kind of mistakes that our parents are making, right? This is where we're focusing on, the Generation X and the traditionalists. That's where we're looking today. Okay, let's tuck into this. Right, and I'm going to just keep going back, and I'm going to keep checking out the comments just to see what you guys say. What if ilobolo was paid by the wrong family? Does it count? I'm going to tuck into that. I'm going to explain that to that. I'm going to explain that later on. Also, Pelekwa, I'm sorry that it's not in isiZulu. The one for isiZulu will be from next week on. I will start these again from the beginning. And what cousin isiZulu for those about isiZulu. So please, please. Right, back to the presentation. Okay, so now we're going to look at scenario one, which is perfect wedlock, right? So like I said, we're going to start with our grandparents' generation, and we're going to look at what are the typical mistakes that can or cannot be made, what does perfect wedlock look like, and what surnames should our parents have based on the decisions taken by our grandparents. Okay, so rule of thumb, left, how I've done the family tree, left is always going to be the man, right is always going to be the woman. Left, man, right, woman. Just the basic rule of thumb, that's how I've done the family tree. So you've got Dlamini, I hope you guys can see my cursor. You've got Dlamini there on the right, Oshate no Zuma, perfect wedlock, right? Therefore, the child that they're going to have is going to be Udlamini, right? And Dlamini can never change her surname because she's born in perfect wedlock. Waqaquma wakhe, right? Uzuma waqaquma wakhe wangena amagcekeni wagida amagcekeni kaDlamini. Therefore, she can only be a Dlamini. She can never change her surname from Dlamini. Okay? And when uDlamini decides to get married, the people that must accept amalobolo are baga Dlamini. Even if they do separate, then that means uDlamini Abaga Zuma can never take amalobola for this child over here because she was conceived in perfect wedlock. So what needs to happen now is that you need a big mistake people do is that uDlamini and uZuma separate, and then uZuma and it goes back home nenganyaka wakaDlamini, and then uZuma take amalobola for lendodakazi, when that can never be the case. Okay, so perfect wedlock, if you're conceived within perfect wedlock, your surname can never change. The people that must handle the people that must handle ilobolo yako and all your other ceremonies must be that family in which you were conceived, regardless of what happened between uma wako, no babu wako, no ugogo nomkhulu. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, and I'm going to take some time explaining this because this is the biggest case that we're seeing. Okay, so you have uDlamini over here, no Zuma. We're looking at wedlock and remarriage. So what has happened? You had full marriage. So in terms of umqaqo phelele, so this is perfect marriage that took place. Okay. But uDlamini noZuma baxabana ugogo nomkhulu. These are the grandparents, guys. uZuma wathi cha, Dlamini, I am leaving nengane yami uDlamini. So remember, Dlamini and Zuma were married. Then they had a daughter, right? uMadlamini, the daughter. Okay. These two argue and fight. They beef. Okay. And then they have to leave then she decides I'm leaving Dlamini with my child. All right. Now, Uzuma remarries Uxulu, the man here, X. I hope you can see my cursor, guys. Now, what she needs to understand is because ucacile la usayingane waka Dlamini, because once you are in, same thing I said, there's no way or contingency that was put in place to reverse umgcaco. Therefore, ingane kaZuma, even though usemshiyile uDlamini and useshadela kwaXulu, okay, this child that she gives birth to is going to be, the correct surname is uDlamini, right? What is the mistake that happens? Okay, some people say that, okay, fine, ugogo nomkhulu baxabana. Then ugogo took uma, right, Dlamini, and then ugogo washata uXulu. Ugogo noXulu bashata and then bathola ingane, right? Now what happens is this child here, okay, then incorrectly takes uXulu's surname, right, marries uKhumalo. Let's say they have a boy. Let's say uMazuma noBaxulu have a boy. Okay? And they have a boy. uXulu, uBaxulu. uBaxulu noMakhumalo get married, and then they have a child here. And then they say, okay, fine, ngoba thina we're perfect wedlock, therefore our child has to also take Xulu. No. Incorrect. So now the person that sits with the biggest problem isn't here. The manifestation of the problem doesn't occur here in this generation. It doesn't even occur here in this generation. The biggest manifestation and the biggest problems occur here. So the further along, so let me say this, the further along you are from the problem, so the further down that the problem is, the greater the manifestation and the problems occur, if that makes sense. Because if you remember my morning show, I was saying, Wuti, the further you go with generations, and the further you would go with generations, the further you end up from Itong, Namatong. Okay, so yes, this child here will experience problems because but this one here will experience the greatest of problems. And if this child here then says, okay, fine, I am going to marry Intombazanyaga's Tembiso, right? And then I'm going to have a child with this lady Wagas Tembiso, right? This child is in even greater trouble because now not only has the problem gone from one generation to two generations, but now it's 3 generations back. So this child over here is 3 generations away from Itongo Namatongo. That is why it's so important for us to understand the decisions that our grandparents took so that we can begin to correct them. Okay, I just want to answer a few questions here. Before I go on. In lesson 2, you mentioned that if you have a child with your girlfriend, but you have not been married, can you please, LG Gobo, please can you complete that question? I think your questions, oh, there we go. In lesson 2, you mentioned that if you have a child with your girlfriend, but you've not been married, you can still change the child's surname by Uklaula, then pay Lobolo for the child. Is that true? Okay, if you have a child with your girlfriend and you are not married, right, and you would like for that child to have your surname, keep inhlawulo, ukhiphe ilobolo for ingane. Then the mother's family must bahlabe imbuzi yokumkhipha, so slaughter a goat to release her, and then as the male's family, you guys slaughter a goat to bring her into the family. You then go to home affairs with the mother, and then you guys sign to change all the surnames from her surname to your surname. That's how it's done. If the mother and the father have pay ilobolo or have ilobolo paid, and then before umgcaco happens, kuxatshwana or kungezwana or kungabonisani ngesolinye, or they decide, no, we're not going to get married, but there's a child involved and the child has been conceived after ilobolo has been paid for the woman, what you can do as a man is you can go to the family and you can say, Nina Bagasbanbani, we would like the lobola that we paid for the mother of the child to now be used for uklobola ingane. Okay? And then you can use those lama lobola that you use for the woman, you can use them for ingane, and then bona bahlaba imbuzi yokumkhipha, and then nihlaba imbuzi yokumngenisa. So you're going to slaughter a goat to bring her in. Sorry, take her out, and you're going to slaughter a goat to bring her in. I hope that answers your question. What if lobola was paid to the wrong family? Does it count? No. I will explain that to you now. What if granny got married, then took her children before marriage to the new surname? Then grandchildren ended using granny's new surname. What must the grandchildren do in this scenario? Okay. Right. Let me explain. So you're saying, what if your grandmother got married, then took her children before marriage to the new surname? Okay, so what you're speaking about, I'm actually going to tuck into Wimkul. I'm going to tuck into later on. I'm going to get into it afterwards. So just please keep watching. All right. What happens when your parents are not sure if their parents had a complete wedding? What can be done to determine were things done correctly? Okay, so if you have no one alive who can give you this kind of information, right? And your parents must do it. And by them doing ukphahla ngamakhandlela, what you'll see is that if there is an identity crisis ngesibongo for your parents, then what will happen with the candles, I hope you guys can see my hand, is instead of them burning completely, right, which should happen, they will both remain standing and they won't burn. And that's how you'll know, okay, fine, kusho ukuthi kunenkinga nesibongo. Once you've done umphahla and you've seen, I'm speaking for your parents if they want to know what happened with their parents, in other words, your grandparents, then they must do that. Then the next one that they must have after that is they must then say, okay, fine, uma wako akabiza baga mawake, then ubaba wako akabiza about babwake. Okay? Then ababuza ukuthi umgcaco, did it take place? Wakhishwa uma or ugogo noma okhokho? That is the most important thing. Ilobola, yes, it's important, but the most important thing is whether umgcaco was done. Under what circumstances were you conceived? That's the most important thing. Okay, back to the presentation. Right. So now I want to look at wedlock and infidelity. I'm going to be covering it from both sides, so both male and female. So what happens if the father cheated? What happens if Umazuma cheated? And I'm going to be looking at it from that angle. Okay. Dlamini and Zuma are married, perfect wedlock. They have this first child here, Udlamini. That's fine. Uma Dlamini is then impregnated by Uxolu, right? Right? She is then impregnated by Uxolu, okay? And then what happens is, sorry, having a bit of a technical issue. Okay, there we go, back. So then Uma Dlamini is then impregnated by Uxolu, okay? I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to have two scenarios. So scenario one, Udlamini finds out. Let's go with that way. Let's say Umazuma decides to keep it a secret. Lengane ikhule as Udlamini, as Udlamini, right? And then Udlamini goes and has a child with Umakumalo, right? And then Umakumalo and Ubab Dlamini have a child as well. The only mistake done here, I'm going to slow down here. The only mistake done by Umazuma, right, is not the infidelity, but it's not correcting the infidelity nokuthi aqhamuka kubab Dlamini nomndeni waka Dlamini athi, this is what happened. I was impregnated by another man. Ngicela ukuthi sigeze ihlazo. The same thing I said last week. We mustn't pick and choose when to apply we mustn't pick and choose when to apply culture, right? Uzuma nalengane, this child here, though it was impregnated by another man uXolo, has to be Udlamini. Okay, this child here had to be Udlamini. Now so if your father was a product of infidelity, but ugogo wako failed to nogogo nomkhulu failed ukugeza that infidelity nalelo hlazo, when as a grandchild you are going to be affected by that, and you are going to carry that to your child should you decide to marry someone else, right, and decide to have a child as well. Your child will also be impacted by the decision made by her great-grandmother. Okay. So that is why, that's why Umsamo Institute, we keep saying umsamo wako, uma wako, no baba wako, ugogo nomkhulu, okhokho bakho. So now most of you are going to not necessarily know what actually happened between your grandparents, but I want you to understand that don't judge your grandparents for the decisions that they made. You know, we're human, we all make mistakes. But say gogo mkhulu kwenzakaleni. Don't judge them, say gogo mkhulu kwenzakaleni, so that you can fix it and you can move on with life. All right? Because to not fix it will affect your children as well. So now we're looking at the next part of infidelity. Now we're looking at what happens when the man cheats. So now uDlamini no Zuma bashadile, perfect wedlock, right? But now, and they have their first child. Excuse me. uDlamini now ujola no Mkhize here. Okay? Over here. Without uMazuma knowing. Right? Now they have a child. This child here. Let's assume Mkhize is not necessarily married. Let's just assume Mkhize, she's single, and she just found Ubab Dlamini. Let's assume Mkhize is married. Let's not assume that she's married. Let's assume Mkhize is married and she found Ubab Dlamini and they had a child over here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to speak as if the grandparents are no longer around, because a lot of the time the mistake I'm about to say happens when the grandparents are not there to actually give you all the details. If this child here, Ibiza Siyabonga Mkhize, right? Correct. And it is right that Lumpana, the child that they have here, Ibiza Siyabonga Mkhize, if Ubaga Dlamini don't do imfanelo for this child over here. Okay? Now this child cannot go to the Dlaminis and say, no, imina inganya laikaya, therefore I have rights to claim to the estate. Let's assume that they don't have another child and this is the only child that they have. This child cannot go forcefully use the Dlamini name and claim to be a Dlamini unless Abaga Dlamini go to Abaga Mkhize and bakhokhi inhlawulo, bakhokhi ilobolo, and then kukhishwe imbuzi, kuhlatshwe imbuzi yokumkhipha, kuhlatshwe imbuzi yokumngenisa. All right. Now the mistake is that this boy who was Mkhize forcefully goes into the Dlaminis. He's like, no, I need to use this Siyabonga Baba. He takes on the Dlamini surname without actually doing imfanelo, right? And then this boy here, okay, goes and marries uMakhumalo. He has a child with uMakhumalo, okay? And instead of the child being Mkhize, they use the surname Dlamini. So when as ingane you don't know ukuthi ubaba wakho forcefully said ngifuna ukubiza isibongo sika baba wami, in other words umkhulu wakho, and took the Dlamini surname and gave you the Dlamini surname, when in actual fact Abaga Dlamini wanted nothing to do with uMkhize nalengane, and hence they didn't do anything for lengane, and ubaba wakho is forcefully taking the Dlamini name. So in that instance, now even though your dad cheated, and as opposed to it being your mother, you can also be implicated. And when I'm speaking now, if you're this person here, you need to correct your father's mistake, right? By saying to your dad, we need to go back to the surname Mkhize. Hlabimbuzi, Tenganimbuzi. Hlabimbuzi, apologize to Abadala for using the incorrect surname, saying that we will now be moving to the Mkhize surname and will carry on as Mkhize. That is how simple it is to fix it. If ubaba wakho uyalwa, right, and he doesn't want to change surnames, okay, and the issue began up here, then you can then what you can do when I'm fine, you can go back yourself. You can go yourself, nibuyele esibongweni Mkhize, and you can do it yourself. You can carry on yourself. Should your father refuse to say, okay, fine, I don't want to change to my correct surname Mkhize, when you can go to Abaga Mkhize, ubatole, right? And you can say, we would like to go back to this surname because we are of the Mkhizes. Okay, I just want to draw here. Let's assume you were married, right? And you had kids. You had one kid, you had two kids, and you were married, right? Let's assume you got married, okay? And you found out that your father incorrectly took your grandfather's surname, and you were married, and now your kids also have the Dlamini surname incorrectly. This is what you're going to do. Wena nomndeni wakho, all of you, back to the Mkhize surname. All of you, back to the Mkhize surname. That's in the event your father does not necessarily want to be involved, and he says that, no, I'm a Dlamini, I'm going to die Dlamini, and he's adamant that he's a Dlamini, even though things haven't been done. You and your spouse and your family need to go back to the Dlamini surname. You and your spouse and as well as your children, back to Mkhize surname. And you can carry on, assuming that this being a male here, I'm assuming, sorry, let me just write that down. Let me write down an M here. I'm assuming that this is a male over here, okay, and that this is a woman over here. All right. Okay, I just want to check out the comments to I just hope, guys, please just keep on put your questions in the comments and I'll come back to them. If I leave them out, it's because I'm probably going to come back to them later on. Okay. Guys, also if it's a little off topic, then I might leave it. If it's going to be something that we're going to be taking on, that we're going to take care of next week, then I'll answer it. Then I may actually leave it out completely. Okay, what to do if umama wakho kuthiwa akakhishwanga kubo ngembuzi but wafika nebhokisi wacaca? Okay, so I'm just going to read here because I think this is quite interesting. Hold on. I want to answer this question. What do you do? Okay, so here's the question over here. It's saying, what to do if umama wako kuthiwa akakhishwanga kubo ngembuzi but wafika nebhokisi wacaca? Okay, so here's the problem here is now. Your mother actually left from an incorrect surname, right? So uma wako bekumele ukuthi akhishwe ngembuzi qala, right? Bekumele ukuthi akhishwe ngembuzi. So the fact that, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't make sense of the question. I'm making sense of it now. Okay. If uma wako, please Nombuso, can you please reply to me and let me know if I'm making sense here, if I'm making sense of the question correctly, right? If uma wako, right, simply left the home, wafika khona emagcekeni of your father, kwagida kwasina, they slaughtered an animal to bring her in, or whatever they did for whatever culture that she was marrying into, but they did not have her exit. Uma wako kahle kahle akacacanga. Lo mcaco does not count. Blood in, blood out. You cannot enter if you have not left. So lo mcaco kahle kahle, it doesn't count. Let me say that. It's as good as not happening at all, right? That means Nina, I'm speaking for you now, Nombuso, assuming when as ingane yakho, I'm assuming you took your father's surname under the impression ukuthi uma no baba bacaca. Kahle kahle ma, what you need to let me know, ubaba no ma basaphila, yebo noma cha. That also, because if in the event that uma no baba bayaphila, what you need to do is this. Let's assume uma no baba basaphila and they want to do things correctly. Even if one of them, let's assume umano baba basaphila, okay, you need to redo umcaco. But now what needs to happen is when your mother is is made to leave nenkomo, bamkhipha nembuzi noma isilwane, whatever animal that decides to use, nawe and your siblings need to also leave, and then they need to bring you into that new family along with your mother. Because if you have a child, let's say you have a man and woman have a child, and then indota ikhipha, right? He's saying, I want to save Amalobol, I want to save, and then we'll do Amalobol. I want both woman and child to be in my family. If you have a child before Umtat and you want them both to be in your family, what you need to do is on the day of Umtat, both child and mother must have islwane sabo. They both must have their own animals to release them from that family. And then upon entry as well, they both, mother and child, must also have their animals to bring them into the family. So if umawako no babwako basaphile, they need to do that process. When as ingane, you're going to do the same thing. Okay, so Mbuso, you need to let me know whether you're married or not, or whether you're looking to marry. Just let me know what your situation is. Drop a comment below. Let me know, because then I can expand further. Because this is something that does happen regularly, where people do one part but not the other part. You can't enter when you have not exited. It's how do I put it? I wanna give you an example. You can't drive two cars at the same time. You know, you kind of gotta get out your VW and get into your Merc. You can't drive two cars at the same time, so you can't be in two families. You can't really take on the surname of one without having fully exited the other one, if that makes sense. Okay. I just want to tap into some questions here. I hope that makes sense. So guys, I think what I'm going to do is the answer the question that I'm showing, I'm going to actually put it up on screen. This new software actually allows me to do that, so you can actually see that part. Okay, so repeat the part where you're born out of infidelity, not a problem. Okay, if you are born out of infidelity, right, you need to Rain, Makanya, please let me know whether or not you were born, whether you're when you say you're born out of infidelity, you need to let me know, are you the child that is in perfect wedlock, but your mother was the one that stepped out? Let me know on whether we're talking about man cheating or woman cheating. Let me know which one cheated. But if you are born and your mother and father were in perfect wedlock, but your mother cheated, what needs to happen is that lelo hlazo kumele ukuthi ligezwe. And when the onus is on you, I know it's going to be tough to go to your father's home and say, listen, this is actually what happened. I found out that Uma actually had me with another man. But ngoba Uma ebecacile like her, and she is inganya like her. Therefore, even though I was conceived by another man, I am of this home. Therefore, ngicela ukuthi sigeze ihlazo khona ngizoqhubeka nempilo nesibongo salike her. La ucace khona uma wakho. And even now in my Makanya, I'm speaking from your point of view because I can see you're a woman. So even Maulobol, abantu bazathatha malobol is going to be that family where umawak wacaca khona. Okay. But yeah, let me know if you are speaking of man cheating, woman cheating, which one is it, so I can better help you navigate that one. Okay. Kabazala, what do you need to do if you have started lobola in the process and you find out that you are using the wrong surname? How do you rectify that? Kulomuzo wona wafika washo isibongo esingewona uma sufuna ukuqedela amalobolo. Okay, nkanyezi. First things first, stop the lobola process. Just put it on hold completely. Put it on hold. That's the first thing. Put it on hold. Go to the family. Sit the family down and say to them, Ekaya, we have an identity and surname issue which we would like to correct first, and then go back home, correct the surname issue, right? Once the surname issue is correct, then you can carry on with an ilobol. If you are a woman and you guys have accepted amalobola, what you need to explore is maybe give amalobolo back to that family, right? We found out that we have an identity issue in the family and we are just looking to rectify it. And then you redo the lobola negotiation completely from scratch with that very same money. Or alternatively, what you can do is you guys can keep the money and you can say what we will do is we will now use it for the correct surname. Does that make sense? So what you need to make sure of, Isibongo is mainly crucial when it comes to umtato. You need to leave from the right surname to enter into the right surname. So I'd say if Kanyezi, if you're a woman, then and your family is the one receiving amalobola, I would say, listen, guys, can we please just hold on, nang amalobola back, give us a break, give us some time to actually really go back, sort out our identity crisis. Nonke ekaya, change to the right surname. All of you go to Home Affairs and change the right surname, and then you commence with the lobola negotiations. All right. But actually, I'm very happy and proud of you, the fact that you've picked it up before going into marriage. Because if you had picked it up, and I don't know who else is listening to this, if you pick up an incorrect surname issue, you need to go back, correct the surname, and then you're looking at redoing that process again. So at least you're picking it up whilst you do it, before you even begin spending all the money for EBs, and so on and so forth. All right, so well done there, well done there. Okay, Spumelele Kulu says, what happens when the father cheated with his wife's sister, and when sister got married, their child uses their father's surname? Okay, let me read this again and slowly. What happens? The father cheated with the wife's sister. Okay, when the sister got married, their child uses the stepfather's surname. What may be done, especially if that child does not know what happened? So first things first, I think the child should know what happened. That's the first thing. When the child, after knowing what happened, because you cheated. It is infidelity. You broke the covenant that you made with Abadal and Amatok. So that needs to cleanse both women as well as, so it's the wife, the sister, as well as the uba. But mainly the father must be the one ukezumuz, because he's the one that chose to cheat, right? He's the one that broke the covenant. Okay. The wife's sister was not necessarily the one that broke the covenant. The man was. Okay. And then that child can only, so that child, it's okay if the child can never use a stepfather's surname. Because if you were here 2 weeks ago, I said, Uti, stepchildren can never take their stepfather's surname. Let me explain. If the wife's sister and the wife's husband had a child, right? That child is not, okay, let's look at the diagram, right? So let's say Uzuma no Dlamini beshadile, right? But Uzuma no Mkhize, let's look at the diagram. So Mazuma no Dlamini bashadile. And then let's say this is a Z here. Let's just draw it in here. Okay, I want to answer your question as best as possible. Let's say this is Mazuma's sister. And then Umazuma no, and the sister, sorry, Ubab and the sister, they have a child. Okay? They have a child X here. Okay? This child here can only be Uzuma and must remain as Uzuma. Even though Abagazuma, remember, she is not married to the Dlaminis. It's her sister. She's not married to the Dlaminis. It's her sister that's married to the Dlaminis, not her. Therefore, she is not ingane yaga Dlamini. Her sister is. Therefore, the child that she bears yaga Dlamini, yaga Zuma. Therefore, that child cannot take the stepfather's surname. If she wants to be married, sure, not a problem. She must remarry, live her best life, and give that man as many other kids as he wants. That's fine. But that stepfather, what he must do, Umsamo, Ahlabimbuzi, Aticha Mkhize, or whatever his surname is, I would like to be ukuthi nansi lengane yakwaZuma. Ngizoyithatha lengane ngiyikhulise and raise it in this household. I'd like you to welcome him into this family and into this home. Sorry, not family, into this home. I'm going to look after him or her, and I'm going to raise him as one of us. But the surname, must remain Zuma. Here's the key. Leongane, when that child grows up, before that child gets married, he must go back to that stepfather's family and say thank you. Whether it be ngembuzi ezimbili, noma inkomo, noma ingulube ezimbili, or whatever the case may be, noma ukulungisumu, but he must say thank you. If it is a woman, this is where things get a bit tricky. If it is a woman, say they had a daughter, Umazuma gave birth to a girl, right? If it is a daughter, and Abagazuma are no longer around, let's say there's absolutely no one, like no one at all. Something happens, family falls apart, people pass away, there's no one. And that girl wants to get married. In that instance, the stepfather, on behalf of Abazuma, can accept Amalobolo as the stepfather, as umuntu wamkhulisa, because, and it is out of necessity, because there is no one from the Zuma family available and there to accept. But ngesikhathi emkhipha, she's going to remain a Zuma, that child is going to remain a Zuma, and she's going to leave as a Zuma and enter into that home as a Zuma. But the family of the stepfather that raised them, out of necessity, can actually accept Lamalobolo. That is only in extreme circumstances. So, Spumelele, I hope that answers your question. You'll let me know if there's anything else. And I'm just going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to keep on going. So, I would like to ask, Gogo nomkhulu, kuthiwa kunemimoya okay, so I'm going to actually answer that question in the next episode, where I'm going to be focusing on imimoya ekhona and how to actually go about handling different types of imimoya. Like we said in the beginning, guys, and like our team posted, I think a couple of days ago, that these are going to be carrying on indefinitely. So once a week, every Friday, 4 to 6, it's going to be me and you, or myself, or maybe Dr. Mkhize and you guys, or someone else. But Umsamo Institute will be carrying on with these indefinitely, and we'll be tapping into that later on. So please, okay, let's carry on going, guys. So I think I've tucked into step parents, but let's actually carry on with step parents, right? And step parenting. Thank you for those questions. I'm going to actually just spend time answering all of them after this. Okay. So now we've got uDlamini no Zuma over here, or uMazuma no Dlamini. And I'm going to say, let's say uDlamini no Zuma, they have a child together, but nothing's done for them in terms of imfanelo, right? Let's say nothing's done for them in terms of imfanelo. Sorry. Let's start here. They uMazuma no Dlamini are not going to get married. Okay? But they have this first child here. uDlamini is like, you know what? Angikufuni Mazuma, but ngifuna ingane yami. So he does imfanelo, he does everything that needs to be done. Akhokha inhlawulo, akhokha ilobolo. They slaughter a goat, they release the child, they slaughter a goat to bring in the child. The child is Dlamini. Perfect, that's fine. Let's say uDlamini then says, okay, fine, you know what, Mazuma, I'd like to, we're not going to work out together. That's the first instance. That's first instance, number one. Instance number two, Dlamini and Zuma, right? Dlamini pays lobola for Zuma, right? But he does not, but then later on, so this child is already a Dlamini here, right? And then let's say later on in life, Dlamini realizes, oh, as in uMazuma is actually a really good woman. Ngifuna ukumshada uMazuma. So uDlamini then pays imali for umazuma, right? You'll keep ilobolo. But then somewhere along the line, Dlamini decides, you know what, actually, I see why I did not want umazuma in the first place. I don't want to marry him anymore. But they've already had a child number 2 over here. This child must remain as Uzuma. Okay? Then, let us say that Umazuma then meets Ubab Khumalo. Yena no Khumalo bagane bashade, complete full marriage, and then they have a child. That child is going to be Ukhumalo. Because uDlamini only paid ilobola for Uzuma. Therefore, Umazuma is still in the Zuma family. Right? This child over here, okay, is a Zuma, but this child over here is a Dlamini, even though they are siblings and have the same mother and have the same father as well. Because uDlamini paid ilobola and he did imfanelo for this child here, but he did not do imfanelo for this one over here. Nor did he go back to the Zumas and say, I'd like to use amolobola for this child over here. Okay. So you need to ask yourself, is my parent the one that imfanelo were done for, or the one where imfanelo were not done for? All right. Because then that determines whether you're supposed to be a Dlamini or you're supposed to be a Zuma. All right. So then, let's say Umazuma then meets Ubab Khumalo and they get married. Okay. They have a child perfectly in wedlock. That child will be a Khumalo perfectly fine. That's fine. This child here, these children here, Zuma and Dlamini. Right? Well, let's come back. Ask Dlamini. This child here cannot go claim any Khumalo estates. Yebo abaga Khumalo bazomkhulisa and they'll raise him and nurture him and look after him and everything else. But this child here cannot claim Khumalo estates. Ngoba again, waga Khumalo, he is a Zuma. All right. I hope that makes sense to you all. And I've covered the different scenarios to everyone here at the moment. So, okay, guys, so I'm just going to tuck into the questions now, and I'm going to answer all the questions that are currently taking place. I just want to answer all the questions to see if there are any that were missed. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing any. Okay, so we're going to tuck into that later. It's a little off topic. Please, guys, just stick to the topic. I've answered that. Okay. Okay, you're answering questions. Okay. Okay, I've answered that. Answered that. Okay, right. Let's ask Velas. So, how do you know if your father paid the damages, and if he paid the damages and he never took part as a father in your life, but his ancestors claiming you as theirs? What must you do? Okay, so I tucked into indaba yombango a while ago. So umuntu uyabangwa when there's an incorrect surname issue or kunekhwama that need to actually be taken or handed over from one party to another, right? So I'm assuming by the fact that you're asking how you'd know. The first things first is if you have no one to ask. If you have no one to ask, then you're going to have to and ask, and then ubheka. So for those of you that are currently facing an identity issue and you have no source of information, because then that'll actually let you know whether you do have an identity issue. Because if both candles remain burning, then what's going to happen is that means you have an identity crisis, right? And then you're gonna ask Uti, kahle Mkhize, or whatever your surname is, where do I lie? Am I meant to be an Ndlovu, or am I meant to be an Mkhize? Or am I meant to be a Zuma, or am I meant to be a Dlamini? And bazophendula. Yemibona, they will definitely reply to you. And then they'll say what you're meant to be a Zuma. Then the onus is on you to go out and correct that, and so that you can be a Zuma. So Umvelas is saying, how do you know if your father paid damages? And if he paid the damages and never took part in your life, but his ancestors are claiming you as theirs, what must you do? So remember what I said in the beginning. Inkawulo is compulsory. Ilobolo is not. Right? So there's a big difference between inkawulo and ilobolo. Inkawulo is damages. Inkawulo says, I acknowledge what I have done. I am sorry. Here you go. Ilobolo says, I have intentions of making this individual a member of my family. That is why I'm saying, Uguti, you are under no obligation to accept amalobolo. The mother's family can say, no, we'll accept. So Tata Nkawulo, but we're not going to accept amalobolo. We're happy with the child being in our family. Okay? So when you say that their ancestors are claiming you as theirs, you need to go and ask umawako no babwako because they would never claim you as one of their own if things weren't done correctly. If things were done correctly, if things were not done correctly, then if things were done correctly and you're using the wrong surname, then they'll definitely claim you as their own. So abadala don't go around claiming ingane if things aren't done correctly, right? If things are done correctly, let's say your father did pay ilobola, keep inkawulo. Therefore, I think in your case, I'm thinking what's happening is that ubaba wakho keep inkawulo and ilobolo. Manje, I think abadala are saying ukuthi sesikhiphile ngokokubili. All we need is that third step yembuzi to be a part of our family. But now you need to find someone from your father's family ukuthi bakwenzele lokho. Baye khona kubo kakhabonina bakusize ngalokho. So I think that is why you feel as if bayabanga ngoba bayikhipha inhlawulo bayikhipha ilobolo. Manje they're saying how ngoba nje sikhipha inhlawulo nelobolo iphi ingane yethu. Okay? Next question. Okay, Linda Umakanya has replied, I hear you, Inkinga. Because I was raised, so you were raised by the step family since you were 3 months. Both parents have passed on. It's now up to me to fix the whole thing. Yeah, no. Makanya, you're gonna have to email us detailing us your whole story so we can answer it as best as possible. I have given you, I think, the answers to all the scenarios, but I'm gonna need the whole story exactly from beginning to end. Where do you fall in the family tree so that we can best advise how you actually go about it. Okay, right. So what happens? Ubabu lobolile kwaze kwabona inkomo. Okay, that's fine. Ukuthi zingaki. Okay, that's fine. Ubabu decide ukulobola. Okay. Okay. Decide ukulobola ngazo kwenye indawo. Then umama adube aphinde kubo izingane zibiza siphi isibongo. Okay. So for those of you that are struggling to read Zulu, so what she's saying is that gentleman X or the father wakhipha ilobola neenkomo, and then the cows were seen as well, and then the father decided to use the cows ukulobola kwenye indawo, so balobola to another family, right, as opposed to umawaki, right? But there's children that have been born to the first woman, the first wife, okay? What surname should the children have? There was no blood spilt, therefore no one leaves, therefore they remain with the mother's maiden surname. So the children that were, so if you're saying go to Mawako, they started ilobola, but then batata namalobola, and then they sent it somewhere else. Don't stress too much about what happened with amalobola. What you need to do is you need to say Uguti Nina needs to use your mother's maiden surname. You just need to keep your mother's maiden surname, use your mother's maiden surname. Everything happens with your mother's maiden surname. Imbeleko happened with your mother's maiden surname. Omhlonyane happened with your mother's maiden surname. Everything is with your mother's maiden surname. In the event that that gentleman's family come back and they say, okay, fine, we had amalobolo paid to this family, but they shifted them somewhere else. But they were still paid to this family, and they showed this family, we would like to use those amalobolo for you guys. You must tell them what you know put. Because amalobolo, you showed us the cows, you then decided to change your mind and go somewhere else. Okay? Those cows are that family's property now. If they want you to be a part of their family, they must bring a new set of cows or ilobolo encha specifically for your family. Very simple and straightforward. Stay with your mother's maiden surname, because umawako abazanga bagxaxa for umawako. We were not conceived in perfect wedlock, and on top of that, they didn't do anything for you as the children born to umawako. Stay with your mother's maiden surname. Okay? Right. Umusa uti. So if I have 2 kids and I want to marry the mother, each child needs a goat for blood out, blood in. Yep. Definitely. You are correct, Musa. If you love the woman of the mother of your children, on the day, guys, we must be specific here. On the day of umqaqo, or the wedding, when you release umama, when she's released from the home, ngenkomo, or whatever slana that you decide to use, depending on your ethnic group, the children as well, that child needs his animal, or that child needs her animal as well. Because kahle lezo ingane are still they belong to the mother's family. They're not your family yet. You need to sacrifice for them as well to leave. And then on receiving them, you also need to sacrifice inkomo for mama. And then also, as well as, each child needs to have their own animal, depending on how many children that you have. So I hope that clears up very quickly for you. I hope that clears up for you. I don't want to be missing any questions here. I don't want to miss questions, guys. I really don't want to miss questions. Okay, next question. I'm cool. Okay. So it's her and her brother, right? So they were conceived out of wedlock. Ekhaya, umama wahamba wayoshada, inkinga ilana, azange senzelwa lutho, like imisebenzi amasiko, umfana yena akanayo nengane, akasebenzi, una 40 kodwa ingqondo yakhe ngathi umntwana and akalazi kubo. Okay, so Florence wakantombela, I think your problem is not a surname issue, it's an issue of imbeleko. So when you say Guti, nothing was done for you, rightly so, you have the right surname because you were conceived out of wedlock and you kept your mother's maiden surname. Both you and your brother need to have imbeleko done for you, even if you're 40, 50, 60, 80, whatever. The fact is, abadala don't recognize you. Imbeleko is important for recognition by abadala. So they can't really guide you, advise you, bakusize, and bless you if they don't recognize you. So Florence, please tell was imbeleko done. If you're still listening, Florence, please let me know below if imbeleko was done for you. Guys, if imbeleko was not done for you, whatever, so if the surname that you are in right now did not do imbeleko for you, they do not recognize you. You are not recognized. You need to have imbeleko done. Next question. Okay, parents got married the Western way and umambo did not occur, but goat was slaughtered from my mom's family, Bemkhipha, and a goat was slaughtered welcoming her on my father's side. So where do I belong? Father or mother? Umsamo? Father. Straight up father. Father. Look, at the end of the day, execution will vary in terms of what is some bazosebenzisa a sheep, abanye bazosebenzisa. I know that amaZulu thina sisebenzisa inkomo. You know, we go big or go home. Sisebenzisa inkomo, but abanye they do different things. But they got married the Western way, abazali bakho, right? Kunesilwane abasihlabile to release her. Kunesilwane abasihlabile to bring her in. Therefore, kwachitheka igazi. Therefore, ningasebenzisa isibongo sikababa wakho if you're assuming you were conceived after that process was done. The only thing I'm realizing now what isibongo sakho Mkhize. So I'm thinking that you're Zulu. The only thing which may be a problem is Islwane. If so, you might ngicela ukuthi uphahle ubheke if Islwane was acceptable. Ngicela ukuthi buza abaphansi this one specific question, was Islwane, i.e. imbuzi, acceptable? Because ngiyazi namaZulu inkomo is the one that is acceptable, and then siphahla inkomo with imbuzi. So kungenzeka ukuthi they needed to do inkomo. That is the only thing that I think you should be wary of and ask. But fundamentally, so the right process was done, it may have been the incorrect animal. Okay, I'm gonna take about. Okay, I'm just trying to see how many more questions I have. Okay, I've got on my screen here. I'm seeing 4 more questions after this one, and then I think we can call it a day after that, because then we're running out of time as well. Okay. Toz, what happens in the case where you have a child, yangahlawula? Kwaze kwagcina your father eyenzelwe ingane imbeleko, so the child is protected in the sense of belonging. Should the child's father want the child as a mother? Okay, first of all, Linda, thank you very much for actually, I think you should thank your father. He did a very right thing by doing ingane imbeleko because he saw what ilengane and it is a very good thing that he does imbeleko for Loengane. So thank your father for that. It is a very, very good thing that he did. Thank you very much to him for doing that. And then so if the child, like I said, Jamin, you are under no obligation to let your child go. If your child wants to take the father's surname, then your father must slaughter a goat, Umkhipha, to release him, and then the other family must slaughter a goat to bring him in. But you don't have to do it. You don't have to. He's not going to be hindered in any way, shape, or form spiritually by keeping your surname. There's nothing, you don't have to do it. But if you want to, Kyawulo, lobol. Like I said in the beginning, in Kyawulo, there's no set amount. It can be imbuzi, and then ilobolo, 2 cows, 3 cows, up to you guys. And then ubabwako amhlabela imbuzi cha no singakhipha lengane siyaphuma manje amqhuma ngembuzi amngenisa to that other family slaughters a goat to bring him into that family. That's it. Okay, right, this one. Okay, ingane izalelwe emshadweni esemshadweni noma ngabe ayizalwe ilobola issue. Okay. Okay, I think this is answering someone's surname. Okay. Right. Okay, kwenziwa njani uma ubaba wakho ekuhlawulile kodwa wagcina ungashintshanga isibongo ubiza sakhe manje? Okay, so it's basically asking, the father has paid ilobolo, sorry, inhlawulo, not ilobolo, and he's asking what surname I use. Like I said in the beginning, Nguni, inhlawulo does not mean surname change. Inhlawulo is compulsory, ilobolo is optional. If ubaba wakho uyikhiphile inhlawulo, still usebenzisa isibongo sikama wakho. Up until ubaba wakho akhiphe ilobolo, and then you can begin talking surname change. But imgomo that needs to happen if you want to change surname, baba usekhiphile inhlawulo, that's fine. Abakwazi ukumkhokhisa inhlawulo twice. Okwesibili, akakhiphe ilobolo manje. Emva kwelobolo, your family abe nomuntu ozoshisa impepho kuhlatshwe imbuzi Umsamo athi siyayikhipha ke lengane siyaphuma and then they must say the family that you're going into, right? Ukhishwa ngembuzi. Then that other family must do the same thing, kushisa impepho, and then there must be someone to bring you in ngembuzi. It's a form of ukwenzeka imbeleko when they bring you in. Accepting you into the family is also the equivalent of doing imbeleko for you. If that makes sense. Okay. Okay, I'll go up. How does one do imbeleko for your 21-year-old child? The same way you do imbeleko for someone who's 1 year old. I'm not sure how other cultures do it with Tinama Zulu. It's imbuz, imbeleko, imbuz. That's it. It's just a goat. You obviously use whatever gender the child is, you use the opposite gender for the goat. So the exact same way you would do it for a 1-year-old child. And then on top of that, I don't know. Angazi noma isiphandle is specifically a Zulu thing or a Nguni thing. Noma bakhona abanye amapeli namavenda abafaka isiphandle. I'm not sure about that, but in essence, that's how you would put in. That's how you would put in. That's how you would put in. That's how you do imbeleko for a 21-year-old child. 21 sometimes. Don't. I just want to say, because you're mentioning the age of 21, don't blend imbeleko with umemulo, right? Imbeleko needs to be on its own, right? This is assuming you have a girl. Imbeleko needs to be on its own, and then after imbeleko, before you do umemulo, you need to do umhlonyan, right? Her coming of age, umhlonyan. After umhlonyan, then you can do umemulo. But so you can't do umhlonyan no memulo if imbeleko has not been done, because you can't awukwazi ukukhulisa umuntu that has not been introduced to amathongo, if that makes sense. But we're going to tuck into rituals and imfanelo later on that needs to be done from child all the way to death. Okay, last question for the day, and then I think we can call it a day. Florence again, I think she's giving me a bit more information this time. Thokoza mkhulu. There we go. Like I said, I did suspect that. So Florence, you have your answer. You have your answer. You need to go back. Florence, I don't care how old you are. Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't care how old you are. You need to do imbeleko. Imbeleko. Please understand, guys, ukuthi itongo is very different to Tina as inyama, right? When you can be 100 years old, right? But itongo still needs equalies. So you can still do umhlonyan no memulo and imbeleko at 100. Okay, right, Mkhize, Uspe, let me go back up to your question. I'll make this the last. This will be the last one. Sorry, guys. Uspe uyakhala she missed her answer or he missed her answer. I'm just going to show it again. Okay, Uspe, I hope you're there. I'm doing it right now. I am going back. Don't worry, I'm going back. I'm here now. Okay, so you're saying that your parents got married the Western way, did umambo, but umambo did not occur, right? But a goat was slaughtered to release your mother, and another one was released to accept your mother. So principally speaking, because principally the right thing was done, okay? Principally, in terms of principally that was the right thing that was done. And assuming that you were born after that was done, you would take your father's surname. But the only thing now is Siyabonga Sakho, which is very Zulu. So amaZulu sisebenzisa inkomo when it comes to these things. And the only thing that I'm thinking could be a problem would be the choice of animals slaughtered. So Spare, I hope that you need to ask whether the choice of animal was acceptable as inkomo. And if they come back to you, they'll come back to you back as imbuzi. Sorry. If they show you imbuzi, they were happy with imbuzi. If they show you inkomo, then kusho ukuthi sebefuna inkomo, bebefuna inkomo, not imbuzi. So the only thing you need to be worried about, principally, right thing to do, But I think you do need to be concerned about whether or not the right animal was done. Yeah, that's the main thing, is was the right animal done. Also, so you were born during the Lobolo negotiations. Okay. So if you're born during the Lobolo negotiations, right? What then can happen? What? Okay, all right, okay, right. Now I see. Thank you for that answer. You're in a bit of a tricky situation in the sense that because you were born during the Lobolo negotiations, right? On the day of the wedding, what needs to take place is when your mother had a goat slaughtered for her to release her, you also had to have your one to release you because you were still ilunga of your mother's family. So I think that's where, so your mother, what you might find is that a goat was acceptable to Abadala. So that's right. Your mother was fine. But when you're still a member of your mother's maiden surname family. So that's why I'm saying if you're born during Lobola negotiations, after Lobola negotiations, and your parents proceed all the way to Umtato, when you get to Umtato, an animal needs to be done for child, for mother, and child. They must have their separate animals. So my worry is that you didn't have your animal done for you. So you'll have to, I'm not sure if you had that done for you, so you'll just have to go back, do the research, and look from there. Um, sure. Viewer. I'd love to finish it off. I'd love to, but your question. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, Tulsi, I just want to bring this question up. I'm not going to answer it. I just want to say, guys, any questions to do with Trust, Imimoya, and everything else, I'm going to take care of in other lectures that are occurring later on. I will take care of it. I promise you, Tulsi, later on, later in other lectures, please. Viwe, nalenda was search. Viwe. I'm trying to find your. Okay, viewer, you're just gonna have to drop it in the comments below. Just drop it again, and then someone from then I'll try answer it then, or alternatively someone. Oh, I'm cool. You weren't answered. Can you copy paste your question again? Let me try find it. Why can't you search for things here? Why can't you search for? Yes, I'm cool. I'm coming to you. I'm cool. I'm trying to find those two ones that weren't done, guys. I'm trying to find. Viwe, was this your one here? My parents are strictly Christian. Viwe, is this one your one here? My parents are strictly Christians. Abafun no. Oof. Okay. Viwe. So if your parents are strictly Christian, right? Usually, what happens is this. No, people don't decide to become Christian overnight, and they don't decide nje willy-nilly ukuthi I'm going to stop doing lezi zinto zesintu. Somewhere along the line, you need to decide where they learned it from. Was it ugogo? Was it umkhulu? Where was the break? That's why I'm saying sit down with your family tree and find out okay, fine. My great grandparents married perfectly fine. My grandparents married perfectly fine. But your parents, let's say your parents didn't do perfect wedlock, right? And you were conceived they only did the white wedding, and they gave you your father's surname, your father's surname without your mother and father being married ngokwesintu. Wena, hambe your home affairs, change back to your mother's surname, use your mother's maiden surname. And you're gonna have to navigate that in terms of how do we begin to get them out of that uksindiso and actually engage in izinto zabadala. There is a new service that we're coming out with. We are exploring that option of online consultations, nomdeni type of thing, to try and speak to parents to get them to understand. We're looking at it. I can't confirm at the moment. We are looking at it, like how can we navigate that? So not all hope is lost. Okay, perfect. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Mkulu, I'm so sorry, Mkulu. Mkulu Yawa, I'm so sorry, Baba. I can't find your question. Phezulu ekuqaleni. Okay, let me try. Right, there we go, Mkulu. Right, you're in luck. I found it. Okay, there we go. What if Granny got married, then took her children before marriage? Okay, Granny got married, then took her children before marriage to the new surname. Then grandchildren ended up using Granny's surname. What surname must the grandchildren use in this scenario? Okay, Nkulu, I hope you're there and you're quick with the fingers. Please let me know what type of marriage. White wedding, noma loku kwesintu. What type of marriage was it quickly so that I can answer you now before we go. Just so I can give you the best possible answer. Or maybe I should just I'll just give you the best. We'll just do a scenario. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's assume your grandmother got married ngokwesintu to gentleman A, right? She had children with gentleman A, left gentleman A with her children, and met gentleman B. Traditionally. Okay, thank you very much. Let me answer. So now, Mkulu, you're in a predicament in that your grandmother, actually, Mkulu, let me do this for you. Let me go back to the diagram. Go back to the diagram. Okay. Cool, Mkulu, this is your predicament. I just want to find something that will explain this to you quite nicely, right? So let's assume here Z is your grandmother, Kulu, and then D over here. Let's assume I'm just gonna actually just use this. Let's assume Z is your grandmother and D is your grandfather. Your grandmother and your grandfather married perfectly fine, right? And then they had this child here. Okay, right? Then your grandmother, sorry, left your grandfather and she married this gentleman here, X. Okay, let's assume that let's just forget about all of this here. They didn't have, let's forget about all these children here. This child over here, okay, would be your mother or your father, right? This child needs to go back and use this surname, the grandfather's surname, because he or she was conceived in perfect wedlock, right? Okay. So going back to your question, so if you're saying that the grandchildren are using the grandmother's surname, that is incorrect. The grandchildren should be using the grandfather's surname. I'm assuming that, obviously assuming that the child that was born was the male, and then surnames were carried on, right? If your grandmother married ngokwesintu to your grandfather, the child that they have from there will have your grandfather's surname. Let's assume it's a male, right? And then you are born from perfect wedlock of this male, or not perfect wedlock of that, let's assume you're born from perfect wedlock of that male, right? Then you would have, the grandchildren would have their grandfather's surname. Okay. Mom is using surname of the stepfather, in other words. Yes. Using the, yep, you are correct. Your mother's essentially using the stepfather's surname, which I said in the beginning is the incorrect thing to do. You can't use stepfather's surname, right? So what you guys need to do is you have two options. You can, okay, let me go back to the diagram. So you guys are down here. Let's say this is you, right? Let's say this is you, Mkulu. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with this thing. Let's say this is you, Mkulu. And the problem began up here, right? You need to go back to this surname over here of your grandfather's surname. You need to go back to your grandfather's surname. That's what you need to do. You need to speak to your mom, and you need to make your mom understand that you need to go back to your grandfather's surname because she was conceived in perfect traditional wedlock. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. It's an hour and a half. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us this afternoon or this evening. As usual, these will be posted up on our social media pages. Please stay safe during this lockdown period. And please look after yourself. And any and all questions that come, please keep dropping your questions in the comments, and the team will make sure that someone answers them. They will get the best possible answer. So please continue to drop comments in this one. It's posted as a video on Facebook. Thank you for those that are joining us on Twitter as well. We will be on YouTube as well next week, and we'll be expanding. Thank you very much. Good day.